Greetings and welcome to my office. Father Kevin Kennedy here. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. These are names very familiar to us as the writers of the four Gospels. I took the name Mark for my saint name at confirmation because I had a brother John and a brother Matthew, and we were just missing a Luke. We call Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John evangelists. The word evangelist refers to someone who brings good news. Certainly the message of Jesus is very good news, and that's why we honor and respect and know that the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are inspired by God. So they're evangelists. But do you know that you're an evangelist as well? When you bring the good news of Jesus to anyone else, you are an evangelist. Let's think back to ancient history, to the days before COVID-19. A primary way we were connected to the good news of Jesus back then was through participating in the Sunday Mass. But a problem back then was that only about 25% of Catholics came to Sunday Mass. So I occasionally asked you to invite people to come to church. And do you remember when I used to have these cards printed up and I would tell you, take as many as you'd like and give them to your neighbors, your coworkers, your family, your friends, your enemies. And use this as a way to invite people to church. It has the hour of the masses and the website. It's just a nice, convenient way to say, hey, why don't you think about coming to my church? I remember one time a parishioner told me that she had given 10 of these cards to 10 different people. And she was disappointed because only one of them came to church. I was thrilled because 1 in 10 is actually a good response. Let's think about now, in the days of COVID-19. One of my major concerns is how to help people stay connected to the good news of Jesus in the middle of a pandemic. Right now, we need God's good news to help us get through this extremely difficult time. I'm really concerned about people who are isolated or alone, people who don't have a faith to lean on in difficult times. So I've been praying to God about how we're going to help people stay connected in a time when we can't physically get together as we used to. And God gave me an answer to my prayers when I asked him, who's going to help us keep people connected? And God told me that you would be the connection. God reminded me that you are an evangelist. Even though there are only 4 Gospels in the Bible, there are many more evangelists. Every Christian has the responsibility and the privilege of being an evangelist, of bringing the good news of Jesus to others. And you are the best evangelist there is to the people you know, because you have a connection to people and they'll trust you more than they would a stranger. In the same way that I used to ask you to bring these cards with the Mass schedule to people as a way to invite them to church, I'm asking you to do the same thing now, but in a different way. Invite people to come to our website, sgdc.church. At our website, people can find links to online masses and podcasts, information about Bible studies and small groups forming online. Tell everybody you know that at sgdc.church, they can be connected to something called Formed. It's an inscription service that has a treasure of videos, books, movies, and Catholic documentaries. People can get information about receiving sacraments and participating in the Wednesday evening adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. At sgdc.church, people will find ways to register for the e-bulletins or for religious education. We know that before the pandemic, only about 25% of Catholics were coming to Sunday Mass. Now, here is something remarkably interesting that I'm going to ask you to consider. maybe some of those people who are not willing to come to the Mass might get connected to the parish through the web page and other forms of social media. Maybe the Holy Spirit is using this pandemic as a way to push us into evangelizing the good news of Jesus Christ in new ways. Imagine how we might actually be a bigger and more vibrant community as a result of the pandemic. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were darn good evangelists, but you can be a darn good evangelist too. Think about this. You've probably heard stories on the news about businesses that are going bankrupt as a result of the pandemic. Because the pandemic is lasting so long, many churches are going to close as well. I've heard one estimate that a quarter of all churches in the United States, not just Catholic, but Protestant as well, might have to close. And I believe the difference between churches that will thrive and those who will die is the amount of effort we make to stay connected and to evangelize others. I believe that God will bless churches that are actively connecting people to God and to other people of faith through the internet, by conversations, by phone, whatever means possible. The churches that are not willing to change their methods and are just going to wait to the end of the pandemic will probably die. So help people be connected to the parish, and we'll try our best to help them be connected to God and to one another. God is counting on you to be someone who brings the good news to others. Like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, those wonderful evangelists of the Bible, you too can be an evangelist. I'm Father Kevin Kennedy, and I'm praying for you. Please pray for me. God bless.